Well, this is the state of the educational technology in Hooksett. And to start out, I wanted to provide you with a little bit of a network overview. And some of this may be a little bit of knowledge that you already have, but I thought it would be helpful for us to sort of have a place to start with what happens on the Hooksett network. Network and internet connectivity, the Hooksett schools connectivity includes both a wired and wireless. You might be familiar with those symbols, but basically we have wired infrastructure and a wireless infrastructure. Each school is its own separate network, and all three schools have both a wired and a wireless network. The Hooksett schools have a Comcast small business account, providing us with exceptional upload, download speeds, and robust bandwidth for growth. Each of our three schools have their own account through Comcast. So similar to what you might have at home, except ours is a small business account, provides us with great speeds so students can do the things they need to do, teachers and administration and everybody that we support. And we also, up at the SAU office, have a small business account. Network continued, wireless. We had a transition last year, you might recall over the summer, from what we would call FAT access points is how they're referred to. And basically those are access points that you have to configure, each of them individually. And so the idea was to try to configure those access points in a way to create a wireless infrastructure. The problem with that is oftentimes you have to stand up and plug those in if they drop out. They were similar to ones that you might have in your home, and a lot of times people would try to create that infrastructure. So what we did was we upgraded the infrastructure in the entire district to a managed wireless solution, and which is controller based, and so all of the configurations for the wireless are pushed out through the controller. So all the settings and everything else is done in one place. The nice thing about that is when there's firmware upgrades or things of that nature, it's all done in one place on the controller, and it's pushed out to all of the access points. And at any time, we can put up a new network. So for example, just to throw out there, when we have voting, oftentimes I'll create a wireless network called voting, and that provides them with a wireless network for the day. The other nice thing about it is that I can apply firewall policies on our wireless side, which typically before you can only do on the wired network. So that means we can push out different rules based on roles that people have on the network. BYOD, a follow-up from the meeting 522 that we had last week. There were some questions about security concerns, and I wanted to address a couple of those. One thing that actually, as I was doing some investigation on our wireless controller, just learned that in the new release of their firmware, they're pushing out what they're calling device fingerprinting. And what device fingerprinting is, it's actually created specifically for BYOD programs. So a lot of these companies providing the wireless solutions are now creating solutions for programs like BYOD, pushing those out to schools. So device fingerprinting gives us the ability to identify who's on the network and actually also apply policies to those users. And these would be non-district owned devices. Better visibility on the network and the ability to see those on the network and push out different policies to that. Here's a little description of what it's called. It's referred to as client fingerprinting. And different reports can be run right on the wireless controller. Here's a little snapshot of what the console looks like that we manage. Gives pie charts as far as on each of the wireless networks, some trends, reports that you can see. Basically simplifies the understanding of the client mix, so who is in the network environment, what kind of device are they using, all that type of stuff, even down to the point of what type of operating system that device is running. Automatically detect client info over the wireless. We have the ability to do this part right here, which is policy enforcement by device type. So basically, it's going to get to the point where granularly you can put devices into different groups. So for example, if it was a certain type of device and I said, I want to apply a firewall policy to just this group of devices, we'll be able to do that. Best news of all is this doesn't cost us anything. It's actually included in the firmware release of the wireless controller that we upgraded to last year. Don't have to buy any additional software. We don't have to buy, anything in addition to what we already have. And a lot of the companies are doing it that way. They're pushing these things out through updates, so you don't have to purchase more hardware and put on your network. So that's built right in there. Internet safety. Students,